I'm here with Eric Hanchett. He is a pretty cool guy, lots of JavaScript stuff, but he's here to tell us about what he's up to with his YouTube channel.
Hey, what's up, Rick?
And well, thanks for joining me on this call, man. I have a couple questions here, and this one's going to be specifically titled on creating content and publishing videos, blog posts, podcasts online, and pretty much your journey of how you went about doing it.
Okay, absolutely.
So before we actually jump into why are you doing it?
That's a good question. So why am I creating content, putting stuff on YouTube, creating blog posts? Well, it kind of started a few years ago. I'm actually one of the few programmers and probably few people there that love school in college. So I went back to college to get my master's degree, and I was taking a class in personal branding. And in this personal branding class, I had to create a blog, I had to create a Twitter account. If you didn't already have one, create a Facebook account. And it actually forced you every day to post at least one blog article a week at the beginning of the class. By the end of the class, it was like 3 a week. You had to post on social media like 3 or 4 times a day, 3 or 4 different messages. You had to actively go and try to take your content that you had and promote it as best as you can. You had to create a LinkedIn. So it kind of really it's kind of a funny class to have for a master's course in the business school. But it really got me interested in like, wow, there's this whole world out here of blogging. And I had done blogging, stuff like that, like years before. I created a blog on gaming, on video games when I was like in high school. But I kind of blew it off since then, and this is the first time I really got back into it. And I noticed that the articles I wrote, especially the ones about programming, different JavaScript, because as I'm actually a developer is my day job, I was getting a lot of hits. It started getting picked up by Google, and I was getting a lot of SEO search engine optimization. So I was getting a lot of people searching, and they were coming to my website, and it kind of got me interested. Like, wow, this could be a way that I could, get my name out there and get potential clients, potential job opportunities, and maybe one day actually, make some money off of it. And then also the great thing about it is I get to help people, which is kind of a passion of mine, of being able to teach and help others, which is awesome. So through that class, I think I was probably one of the most popular blogs. A lot of people wrote about different subjects that they were interested in, and they were looking at their analytics, and they're like, wow, I got 5 people went to my blog today. And I'm like, wow, that's cool. I got 1,000. So
yeah.
it definitely started blowing up a little bit. And that kind of piqued my interest to get into this world. And then since then, I got contacted by a publisher to create a book. So I created a book from Pack Publishing on Ember.js, which is a programming JavaScript framework that I really enjoy. And then I kind of got burnt out on the blogging because it's just so kind of time consuming. So then I switched over to doing YouTube videos, and I was inspired by your friend John Sonmez, and I saw the kind of stuff he was doing. So I said, and actually I started a little bit earlier than before he was starting to do his crazy amount of videos he does. And if you don't know who John Sonmez is, he's just this created the Onto Programmers podcast. He has a bunch of Pluralsight courses. He does a lot of things, and he used to be a prolific blogger. He still does blogging, but I think he has other people write it right now. So I kind of looked a little bit what he was doing, and then some other people, and I said, this is kind of an interesting niche. I think there's a lot of good content out there. I think I can add my own content, and it takes a video. For me, was super scary at first, and it took me hours and hours and hours to create like a 10-minute video. But now I've been able to bring that down that time quite a bit, and it's a lot better, a lot quicker than creating these like 6 to 10 hour amazing blog posts I was doing before.
Very cool. So when you started your blog, what's your main blog?
So I have
has Eric in it.
Yeah, It's the main blog is programwitheric.com, and I bought the name with the ERIK and ERIC in case because everybody misspells my name, but yeah, that's the main blog. Before that, I was blogging at I started off with erichanchett.com, and then I moved over to programwitheric.com just in like a month because I thought that was a better branding for it.
That's interesting. They took the branding class. Did they specifically talk about personal branding? Is that why you went with your name in it, or you just wanted to actually get a domain name with your name?
Yeah, actually, that was the requirement of the class. You had to go in and buy a domain name with your first and last name in it, and they also required you to open up either a free WordPress.com site, or if you had, or link it to your own domain hosting. So yeah, that was part of it. I mean, I think that actually buying the domain name was optional. I had already owned my own domain name since like 2000. I was just squatting on it for years and years, just in case I ever wanted to do something with it. But I kind of got serious, and then I thought, well, there's Software by Rob, which is another guy that I really follow called Rob Walling. And I'm like, maybe he's does Software by Rob. Maybe I could be Program with Eric. So maybe that's the branding I'll choose. So that's what I ended up doing. And then later I actually bought eric.video, and that, if you go to erik.video, it's the new .video TLDs. That actually goes to my YouTube channel. So I talk about that too.
That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, man. Well, I have so many different questions for you. I don't know how many we'll be able to get to them, but
sure.
Like I think like the main ones that I probably want to talk about once you've actually brought these ideas that I was just reminding myself when I started. So the first one that I want to talk about is fear. You were talking about being camera shy, or presenting a message, and that's a lot of programmers that want to create a YouTube video. This is why you see a lot of things where there's just screencast and it's just a voice and it's not a face. It's most programmers are introverts, or the majority are, and they usually don't like to talk to people. And yeah, so this is kind of like, how'd you get past that, or how'd you go about facing that fear?
Yeah, that was difficult because I had never been in front of a camera, and talking in front of camera definitely is a skill. And like right now, I'm just in my car, just talking to you right now. I'm just in my lunch break at work. But what I did was, I was kind of forced into creating my first video because I like you, enjoyed being off camera. And when I was off camera, I would just do screencasts, just talking, and then I could highly control that, and you didn't have to see my face or anything. But when I was actually in that class, one of the final assignments was you had to be in front of a camera and talk to it for about 5 minutes about any subject you wanted. So I kind of had to do it for my grade. But even if I didn't have to do it for my grade, because I made videos after that were pretty nerve-wracking, it was just about realizing that what's the worst case scenario that can happen. Yeah, so you make a video, and you put it up on the internet, and you get some trolls, commenting on what you look like, or on what you're saying or what you're doing. I mean, how really bad is it going to be? I mean, if it's really bad, you can always edit it, or you can delete it. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but it's in our back of our heads, we kind of get that feeling, oh my gosh, what are they going to say? What are they going to do? And really, especially when you're starting off as a YouTuber, that's actually a good problem to have, because you actually have people watching your videos. Well, like what happens a lot of the time is you're fearful of trying to make the perfect video at the end. You finally put it up and you get like 20 views, 10 views, and it's really your parents, mom, and some bots on YouTube that just scour YouTube for content. So really, there's nobody watching your video. So when you're first starting out, so there's really, this fear is not needed. And I quickly find out when I started that it's all in my head, and you just got to put yourself out there, and it's not that big of a deal.
Especially like in the communities that you live in, you think that what are they going to say? What is my employer going to say? That's one of the main reasons why I didn't really publish a lot of content, was because I was afraid of what my coworkers were going to say. Like, well, Rick, why are you talking about work stuff? Why are you sharing all these things, or what are my classmates going to say, and like that's the main kind of reason why I didn't really publish a lot of content. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I didn't really want to put my voice out there and say all these different things, because I was afraid of what others were going to say, especially in the direct circles that I'm in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if you ran into the same issue.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, yeah, your coworkers can find out, or your boss, and I think some of my coworkers do know, and they don't care. So but yeah, it is. You kind of get that feeling in the back of your head, like, what if they do care? I thought, and I've gone to interviews, and I like my job. I'm not trying to get another job or anything. And I've mentioned my YouTube channel, and people have kind of said, "Oh, that's nice," but it like had no influence on the interview at all. So maybe we're putting too much of an emphasis on it.
Yeah,
It's hard though. It's hard conquering your fears, just getting out there and changing that mindset on anything.
Right. So here's a little bit of more of a difficult one.
Okay.
That was kind of easy. That was kind of warming you out to get to the more difficult ones. So on YouTube, there's this big drive towards creating videos that are 1 or 2 or 3 minutes in length, and they are super entertaining, super fun, like, relieve your stress, and you get millions of views and millions of subscribers. What's your idea there as far as being more entertaining? Like, just for example, one of your most popular videos is the language one. Like, what's the most popular language to learn? So why'd you create that, and why is it not more entertaining?
You're asking why isn't the video I created more entertaining?
Yeah, because that's what people are on YouTube. They're there to get entertained. This is kind of like, you're clicking on things because you want to know what, the best language to learn. And I want to learn it so I can get you know what I mean? I want to get entertained.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a balance between being entertaining and like informing and helping others. I think there's, especially with programming, and anytime you're trying to explain a tutorial or explain something like a really dry topic like programming. Like if you watch a JavaScript tutorial, I mean, it's not very exciting if you're just sitting there and the guy's just droning on, he's just showing you all these things. It could be really informative, and it could be really useful and helpful, but it may be kind of boring, and the entertainment factor may fall below. And so that's something that I think all YouTubers struggle with, is kind of that balance between trying to actually present useful information, but also make it entertaining at the same time. I mean, just the other day, I created a tutorial. I like Vim. It's one of my favorite text editors out there. And it's also, if you can add some plugins to it, make it really powerful, make it pretty much a integrated development environment, an IDE. So I created like a top 5 plugins that you can use with Vim, because I've used it for a while and I like these plugins, and I put it out there. And I put it out there kind of in a top 5 style video where I counted down from 5 to number 1, and then I put it like a minute for each little for each plugin. I talked about it, and I put some pictures up, and I thought it was a good video. And then I posted it to the Reddit, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with Reddit. Reddit's a community where they have a lot of people talking, and they have these threads, and they have something called subreddits, which are kind of like for the 5 people out there that don't know, they're like other sub forums of the main Reddit site, and they have a Vim community on there. So I posted my video in the Vim community, and I got tons of like negativity from that video. Like, they're like, this is too much fluff, this is just for you to get views. And then I got some good views. Some people were positive. They're like, oh, thanks for putting this out, here are a couple of other plugins that I like. But I was thinking, well, if I made the video that the Vim community wanted me to make, it would have been like 25 minutes long. I would have gone in depth on each single plugin and explained how to install it. And then I would have contrasted each plugin with the 5 other alternative plugins out there in that category. And it wouldn't have been a fun video. So I'm just trying to make like a 5-minute fun video to put out there, and so that my readers and people that are watching can enjoy it. And I'm definitely sometimes, it's a lot about YouTube is charisma and what you put out there. So definitely I struggle with that a little bit too. It was like, how do I come off as charismatic, but also show some information out there.
I created a similar one with Adam, where I was like top 10 plugins. Yeah, it got 20,000 views, but like So much hate. So much hate.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. Yeah, I know you have quite a few subscribers, and I know you have some pretty big videos out there. But yeah, it seems like, yeah, and you just can't. You just got to take some of that feedback. And I actually took some of the feedback from that video from that community, and I posted it as a description, or I posted a comment in my video, and I pinned it, just saying, hey, a couple of guys from the Vim community mentioned these other plugins you guys should check out, just to like appease them, because I do want to stay, in good contact with that community and that subreddit, and I want to be able to post videos on there in the future. But it's interesting for sure, and yeah, a lot of YouTube is just about personality and getting out there, and the quality of videos just varies.
So this is something that I struggled with. I'm not sure if you struggle with the same thing, but it's Josh Earl from Ninja Programmers talks about this a lot. But it's finding your voice, and how do you find your voice, and how'd you go about it?
On YouTube and specifically?
Well, on anything from writing to podcasting to the questions you ask to everything. I mean, essentially, your voice is how you present yourself. It's what defines you, right?
I know for blogging, yeah, absolutely. I know for blogging, my voice has definitely changed in my blogging and in YouTube, and I think it keeps evolving. And I don't think I've hit like the Zach niche that I'm gonna stick with forever. I don't know. Maybe I'm just one of those people, but like, because when I started off doing my blog, I created really long, in-depth tutorials, and I found out that the tutorials that I were doing the best were like Socket.io. I got some really good blog and comments from those, and then Ember.js. So I found Ember.js is really, like, I wrote a lot of blogs on Ember.js, and I think I found my voice there. But after writing on Ember.js for over a year and writing, tons and tons of articles about it, I started feeling like, do I want to be the guy that all he does is just write about Ember.js every day, and create this forever? And I decided, no, that's not quite what I want to do. I want to be able to talk about these other technologies. And still, Ember.js is still my favorite framework by far. Mm-hmm. But now I'm really getting into Vue too. So I keep evolving and keep on changing. But I think when you find your voice is when you start getting traction, when people start noticing, when you start having more passion for something. You can say, wow, this I've caught on to something here. This is kind of my voice. I think this is the way I should go. But I think you got to continuously evolve, especially with development and programming. Things change so quickly around here, and new frameworks come out all the time, new libraries that people love and hate. That if you are in the business of creating educational content or just helping and teaching other people, you got to keep up with the trends and what people are interested in.
Here's a weird one. What's the most difficult thing about creating content? Blog post, podcast, video, it doesn't really matter. What's the difficult part? Is it the idea? Is it the implementation? Is it coming up with a script? Is it the message you want to? What is the most difficult part that you have with when you sit there and you're like, I want to create a video, I'll write a blog post? What is it?
Well, definitely being consistent. So if you are a content creator and you're creating blog posts or videos, trying to keep up a consistent pattern of either posting on a certain day or posting certain times a week, that seems to be really difficult, because all our lives are busy. We're all busy. We all have tons of things to do. There's tons of people trying to pull us in different ways, and being able to sit down and really time box or pick out a day of the week where you say, I'm going to do videos this day, commit to that, make sure you do it over and over and over again. That's difficult. I think also just coming up with the ideas. I started creating content calendars. I did that for a month or two, and then I kind of stopped doing it, which wasn't a good idea. But creating like some kind of idea of what you're going to write for, weeks ahead of time can really help out, because just sitting and trying to think of ideas of what you want to write or what you want to do is difficult, and it takes a lot of mental energy, and it can kind of stop it. If let's say you only have 2 hours in your day to work, but you're spending a half hour just researching and trying to figure out what to write, I mean, that can be a huge drain. Right. A lot of wasted time.
Yeah.
So that's a couple tips.
Yeah, people don't like. people don't understand how much effort it goes into like a 10 or a 20-minute video. It's hours. Like some of my stuff that I've written, like it took me 5 or 8 hours to come up with the content, but it's like a 7-minute video.
Yeah.
If you had to start all over again, what would you focus on?
I would definitely focus more on the video at the beginning, and I would try to just up my video production if I had to start all over again. I think video is really, really big right now. I mean, YouTube's going through a lot of changes. I don't know if you've heard that the ad revenue, a lot of sponsors have pulled out, and they're having a lot of problem with channels that are pushing the boundaries and getting demonetized, and people are losing ad revenue. But I still think it's a fertile ground, especially for people that are creating tutorial contents and educational content. I definitely think that would have been a good idea to focus on earlier, and then also continue blogging. I've definitely stopped blogging as much, and I think if I would have been able to find a good balance between writing at least one blog article a week and at least creating one video on YouTube a week, I think those two would have been important. And then, of course, there's always really something I didn't do very much other than what my class forced me to do was promotion, and just really hit up and try to promote the blog and the videos more. If I try to find communities I'd be interested in those videos.
What does success look like for your channel? So before you answer this one, I know your channel went from like 800 subscribers. I think that's around the time we did our interview, to like now you're 2,500. You're about to catch up to me, and it took me forever to get to where I'm at. What are you doing? What's working? Like, what does success look like? Is it 10,000? Is it 100,000? How are you causing this growth?
Yeah, I mean, success is, well, it's all relative, because I may have in a short few months, I'm hitting close to 3,000 subscribers and 35 to 40,000 views a month. But in the same amount of time, I know a couple of other channels that have grown even quicker. So of course, I'm always trying to get better myself, and I'm not competing against other developers, although it's always nice, or other YouTube channels. It's always nice to be able to be at that same level as the other people that started near the same time as you. Mm-hmm. But definitely at the beginning of the year, I did create some metrics that I wanted to hit, which I'm on pace for. One of them I'm on pace for. One is I wanted to make sure I got at least 40,000 views a month, which I think I'm going to hit probably in the next few months here. I think I'm really close. I think I'm at 35,000. And the other one was to hit 10,000 subscribers. And that one I'm I'm behind on. So maybe if I finish the year with 6,000 or 7,000 subscribers, it's still better. But I mean, if I hit 10,000, that'd be amazing. So that's my kind of definition of success and the goals I wanted to put in. But more broadly, I mean, long term, I'd love to have this be an avenue that I'd be able to sell my own products on. I think we both are kind of entrepreneur, where I can not just help people, but I think I can help people more if I sell them a product that can really go above and beyond what I can do in the YouTube videos. And also, I'd love to be able to work with people one-on-one and help them out. So if they are taking a course of mine, that they have access to me, I can walk them through any problems, I can make the course better. So that's kind of more of a long-term success goal for me, is if I can make, I don't know, the word passive income or whatever you want to call it, where I can I can maintain it, get some extra money income in, be able to help people. That would definitely be a success for me. Yeah, but definitely one of my number one goals, and I'm hoping to hit it this year, is to create my first online course teaching a programming language or framework or a tutorial of some kind. That is something I've been really wanting to do the last couple of years. I've had a lot of people ask me for it. So I'm definitely, that's one of my goals, and I want to get off the ground.
That's definitely a lot of work.
Yeah, and I know, follow in your footsteps, because I know you've created a few, and
yeah, it's a lot of work. But I mean, it kind of comes down to like, for me, professionally, I decided to do it because I wanted to learn about internet marketing. So that's what was my driver force for that. Because if I'm able to master internet marketing, then I can actually get clients that are not in the state of Utah. And if I can get clients in the United States of Utah, I can have clients all over the world. And it's like, oh, okay. So there's something to it. Maybe if you can convince somebody in Pakistan to give you $300, you can convince somebody in Pakistan to give you $30,000. Like, you see what I'm saying? You start thinking globally instead of just locally, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think we both share that gene there. I think it's definitely awesome to learn that skill.
Gear wise, like, what do you use? Like, I know your camera, like, I know your videos, the ones you look at now, your audio is very clean, your video is very sharp, presentation's on point. Like that takes effort. Like, people don't realize, like, audio is such a pain in the butt to get correct, and your audio is pretty good. Like, what are you using? What kind of gear?
Oh yeah, thanks. Yeah, I use a Logitech. It's one of the Logitech webcams that does 1080p. That's been recommended by everybody. A lot of Twitch streamers use it. I was recommended by, I don't remember the exact model number. I'll have to give that to you later. And then I use a USB microphone, which is actually not, it was like $70. It's an ATR microphone. It does the job. I actually kind of wishing I had a little bit better one. But I mean, I think I have links in most of my descriptions on what I use. And just between those two is pretty much all I need. I use OBS for my software to split the screen and do my screen tutorials on, which I'm getting better at. And then I use Adobe Premiere to do the editing in. I'd use Adobe After Effects to do the lower third screen titles. And then I use Adobe Photoshop to do the thumbnails, and then Canvas, depending on how much effort I want to put in the thumbnails, that is. So that's pretty much all I use. And then occasionally I'm trying to get more used to talking to the iPhone. So sometimes I'm going to start trying to do more live views on the iPhone, because if you have over 1,000 subscribers, you get option to, and as you probably know, you can do live streams on YouTube from your phone. So I'm going to start trying that out. And I have an iPhone 7, so we'll see how that goes.
I think that's going to go ahead and do it. Do you have any other thoughts for anybody at home watching this video that wants to get into content creation, either be blogging, podcasting, creating videos, whatever it might be?
Yeah, just go ahead and do it. But I would say a caveat before you do it: be serious about it. Give yourself a time every week to work on it. Set goals that you want to at least try it out for 3 months, because so many people start things like this and they just quit it. There's so many dead programming bloggers out there. You'll find a blog from some programmer and they haven't posted in like a year or two, or you find a YouTube channel and the guy just did like a month's worth of content and they just stop. If you want to be serious about this, you need to dedicate some time and at least try it out for 3 months and see how you like it. Doesn't mean you have to keep going if you hate it, but you want to at least give yourself that 3 month goal.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for being on the channel. I'll talk to you next time.
All right. See you later, man.